Barbadians. Today I speak to you not just as the Democratic Labour Party spokesperson on education, but as a mother, parent, and a teacher, and a Barbadian who loves our children. Across Barbados, classrooms are empty, not because the children are missing, but because the teachers are. From mathematics to English, from science to social studies, our students have been left behind. While parents plead, while principals struggle, this government remains silent. Silent while our children cry out for help. Silent when teachers carry the load of 3 and 4 classes at once. Silent as our nation's proud education system begins to crumble. This is not an inconvenience. This is a crisis, an educational emergency, and it did not happen by accident. This government caused it by removing experienced teachers from classrooms to fill political spaces and offices, by delaying appointments, by treating education as an afterthought instead of a national priority. How can a government that boasts about transforming education leave students without teachers? How can a minister of education watch empty classrooms and say nothing? Barbadians deserve answers. We demand to know how many schools are affected, what subjects are going untaught, what is the plan, if there is even one, to fix this national disaster. Let me tell you something, Mr. Minister of Education. Education is not just about exams and reports. It is about pedagogy, the art and science of teaching and learning. Pedagogy demands presence. It demands preparation. It demands passion. Without teachers, classrooms become graveyards of lost potential. Every day a class goes untaught, a child's confidence fades. Every week without instruction is a week stolen from their future. This government has failed our teachers, it has failed our parents, and it is failing our students. Education built modern Barbados. It lifted families out of poverty. It gave ordinary Barbadians extraordinary opportunities. Now this government is tearing this legacy apart. The Democratic Labour Party will not stand by while this happens. We stand with every teacher who feels abandoned. We stand with every parent who is angry and anxious. We stand with every child whose future is being stolen by indifference. If this minister cannot fix this crisis, then he needs to step aside and let someone who understands education, not politics, to lead. Our children deserve better. Our teachers deserve better. Barbadians deserve better. Because education is not a privilege. It is a birthright. And no government, no matter how arrogant or unaccountable, has the right to take it away. This is Felicia DeJean from the Democratic Labour Party, reminding every Barbadian that when a government fails to respond, honest voices will speak.
Malissa Howard, and I am your host for tonight. Tonight, we take a look at the foundation of national progress. communities are.
Good evening, DLP TV. Good to be amongst you once again.
So, gentlemen, welcome to DLP TV.
Thank you.
Let me begin.
Building schools, building bridges and so on, building physical development. By the time that was in 1960s. Over the years, we've shifted it from just villages, to we have a community of teachers, community of parliamentarians, community now takes a different understanding of people with a common interest, all about making it a change to their status and to building whatever it is an institution.
Yeah, it is.
So where it start from? No, just making a general point that community used to be a physical process of development, physical entity. We have a community of nations called CARICOM in the Caribbean, and those are communities in Barbados. How issues and challenges are dealt with. Going again?
So, they're going on to them.
Oh dear. Oh dear.
You going on the producers? I get up there.
Oh, dear me.
If we get in. See if we get this song now.
Yeah. So I just making general point that communities understand community development has changed. And during the process this evening, I think I will make some general points about the difference between community development in the 60s, 70s, and 80s. How now we have taken the process and destroyed it altogether, even in the structure of the office and the Department of Community Development, which now seems to have no focus.
You could end the stream, man. Yeah, let's end this. All right, good night, viewers. We're going to take a break and fix our technical issues and return to you as soon as possible.
Usually, if you interfere with this,
All right, good night, viewers. We return to our show. Please let us know if you can hear us. Let's type in the comments and let us know if you can hear the audio. All right, thank you. All right, Pedro.
You want him to go over again?
No, you can go. All right, just let the viewers know, what does community development means to you?
Yes, the community development, as Derek was saying, starts from bottom up. It's a village raising a child. It's people, mentors within the community. You have pastors, you have persons who are professionals, you have persons who would have just been associated with the area for so long that they want to continue living and breathing that particular community. In Barbados, we hear someone's last name, you will know where that person originated from. So Howard, way from St. John, a Grace from St. Lucie, a Boyce from St. Lucie, and that's how you kind of know where you're from. Obviously, people are moving out and going into other districts now as they get older. But at the end of the day, you still have a connection not just to Barbados, but identity then towards a particular community. So there is that sense of identity when persons also then would go on to represent their schools at Knapsack or BSAC, etc. The entire village comes out and supports that individual. So there's a sense of belongingness, a sense of nationhood, a sense of community spirit, whereby it's not just sports, but other things that come out as well too. You go church, normally most persons go to church close by, so it's a village in a sense. Right? So when you talk about community development, is how do we then empower persons and continue that sense of identity within a particular area?
Damien, what does community development mean to you?
Well, cast your minds back to yesteryears. Maybe Derek might have an idea of what I'm talking about. The community was one big family. It was a family where that the neighbor will help you raise your kids. You know, if you want a cup of sugar, you know, you could walk next door and borrow it from Miss Hardin or Miss Gribbs or whoever. And then you know that there was
Miss Howard.
You know, it was that familial connective tissue. Even though you weren't related by blood, you were related by community and that community sense. So the development part comes in where everybody know they did their little part. You know, you got the community leaders, they provide the programs for individuals to take part in. You got the individual now who may be someone who owns a shop that might help an individual who may not have enough to buy a particular set of food to come and feed the family. They say, no, we'll cover that next week. Or no, we'll give a discount on that. You know, is a community raising each other and loving each other, and at the same time helping you to, if you had your hard times, somebody will be there for you. That to me is the grassroots meaning of community and its development. And I find now that I think that we as a people, we've moved away from that. You know, parents now are more reserved in regards to telling somebody else's children, you know, don't do that, you know, don't play there, there's a well there, you know, they might tell you. But then if you continue now to play, then they can wash their hands off you, because one point in time when the elders spoke to the children in the community, they listened because that person commanded respect within the community. I think we need to find our way back to that sense of love for one another, where that we could rely on each other, talk to each other. We could even help solve issues in the community. I believe that a community works best when they work for each other. Like if there's somebody who is disabled and they rely on a wheelchair and you need a ramp, community will come together and build that ramp for you. If you know the high winds come from a particular tropical event and it blow off the roof, you know, the people will come together and help you fix your roof, help put back up your paling, you understand me? If your water off and somebody else water down, the gap still on, to run with a bucket of water for you, to help you cook, help you bathe, help you, help you do things around the house, cleaning and what's not. I believe that we need to really get back to that sense of cohesion with one another, and maybe we can see that true sense of community development coming back within our communities.
Yeah, I'm glad, Damien, that you made that general point. And I just want to bring us back to the early days when community development became a discipline in Barbados. And you will hear the Gordon Walters. There's a school named after him up in Packard, somewhere in Christchurch, the Gordon Walters Primary School. He was the chief community development officer for many, many years. And he went to Mona and did social work and came back. And he was the architect behind building a group called Youth Town, which was right in the center of Bridgetown, and produced outstanding table tennis players, domino players, and so on, right in the heart of Bridgetown. And Loma Alleyne, Gavin Warden, Harry Blackett, and dear Lord, they were all community development officers, because there was a recognition that if you strengthen activities in the community, you relieve pressure from the center and the top, and that people will organize things to help the communities, help themselves, build youth groups. And once a community is active, problems of crime and delinquency and so will become minimal. So the community development department was an agent for social interaction, building structures, building community groups, building wider groups. So much so that in the 1980s we had 150 somebody groups signed on to the Barbados Youth Council, because youth and community development activities were so wide. Now, if you ask how many youth groups there are, how many community groups there are, you struggle. You struggle to find a number, because we then got impose things like church groups and so on. When I talk 150, I ain't talking about church groups. I talking about Gazette's Youth Group, Sign Hill Youth Group, Gazette's Youth Group. Every community had a group. And therefore the idea of a community center became critical. So community centers were built out to facilitate the organization and activities of those groups. Now today, I hear the government advertising that they're going to ask people to volunteer to become wardens of communities. In our days, we had volunteer. We were so active. Out of the activities at the community level, we became wardens for the community centers and so on. So you didn't have to bother about that. Now they got advertised, because the whole process has been destroyed, because we top down approach the government. Everything is at the state. The politicians want to put their hands into everything, deciding who does this, who does that, who gets this, who gets that. And I'm saying that a progressive government will fight to change that dynamic and bring back more life into communities, into youth groups. And you don't go create a youth group, you create an environment for a youth group to evolve and to grow and to develop and to take responsibility for its community and to lead community, bring out leaders. And back in the 1980s, when all the politicians emerged, they were all members of community groups. This cadre of politicians that we have running Barbados, none of them know about a youth group or a community group. And therefore, then we had these service groups, then the Lions and JSCs and Rotary. We were all into a process of activity and building out community. Community is not only a physical location or community like that. It is common interest. So the Lions is a community group as well, with a specific focus. Lawyers are a community of people with a legal and representative basis, and teachers are a community of education providers. So we can define it along those lines now, because the concept has changed. And I think that this government does not understand that. It doesn't understand that. They feel that they must put their hand, and the Prime Minister must be in charge of everything, And even the community of parliamentarians we have, the 29 of them, don't see themselves as a community. They see themselves as backbones doing what every prime minister says. They don't understand that collectively they must be guiding and deciding policy. If the prime minister tell them jump, poof, poof, they jump.
All right, Pedro, the breakdown of the extended family, how has that impacted negatively on our community?
Yes, the one of the things that you highlighted there in the breakdown of the family, you have a lot of single parents, some single fathers, single mothers, and the pressure then is on that one individual, and even especially if you have a young grandparent that can't necessarily look after the children, so your grandchildren, so to speak. So that breakdown has been a part of the decline. You can also look to the family can also set up the village. So in terms of even the church, etc., if persons are not going to church, and there's not that pastoral care or elderly care, senior person in the church to look out for that young individual. So a number of factors do affect the actual community empowerment that you want to see. But piggybacking on some of what Derek was saying, the top-down approach, when you have, and I'm not lambasting any of the governmental organizations, you have the community development department, you have the community independence celebration secretariat. So you have these departments that are tasked with empowering and getting into the communities, etc. But one of the things that I want to focus on or mention would be that for a whole year, the CICS committees for the various parishes, now there's one in each of them, right? They're only given about $6,000 for the entire year. And when you go then to the Spirit Nation show, when they have to do the costume and everything and stuff, sometimes that money is used up all for the Spirit Nation show. So if these parish ambassadors and the PAC, the chairpersons and the attendants and everybody, floor persons, are supposed to move around, mobilize communities, then I'm saying we have to look at funding as well too. So they can do projects within the community, etc. When it comes to the community development department, again, fantastic work by them. But at the same time, as we mentioned, top down, they should be more so focused on facilitating persons at the grassroots level, in the community centers, in the sports clubs, in the villages. So a person may have, let's say, a teacher may want to do an after-school program, etc. Again, every person within the village, and I'm talking about not just about family in terms of yes, husband, wife, mother, father, I'm talking about the entire village now. That family, which could be a teacher, a professional inside there, a doctor, use the facilities, and we don't have, especially in my constituency, if we consider St. James Central and St. James South, we don't have a community center. But if we can find a location, and they have some locations I believe we can use that have some centers there, or even a sports club we can use for activities, there are a lot of programs we can have there with people, professionals, coming and assisting for that are resident within the parish or the community.
I want to make a comment here because I'm glad you made that statement about the lack of a community center, because there are schools, there are church halls, and so on. But I remember during the last election, the minister for St. James Central put a container there outside St. John the Baptist Church, next to where the pavilion is there, where the playing field. And he was supposed to have classes started and running there. The place never opened. That was a big thing on his brochure. Man named Kerry Simmons, a big thing on his brochure. And it has never, it never ever opened. Past there, anybody pass there tomorrow. St. John the Baptist Church on the left, the pastor on the right, and there's a container determined since 2022 to have classes for the people in St. James, whether it's Central or South. It has never, NEVER, open. That is what I call top-down approaches, because it was not driven by a desire from the people in the community to have it. Otherwise, it would have been open. But for a political benefit, he suggested and blasted it. It has never opened. That is a destruction of community thinking and community spirit.
Now that you said that, Derek, the lack of local consultation in government planning.
Mm.
How does that affect the community?
I'm so glad you've gone there because
Mhm.
I want to let you use examples. I'm from Deacons Road. I was director of Urban Development Commission. We spent $885,000 taking a facility in the farm and restoring it after the government shut it down and left it for vandals and vagrants. We opened it, skills training came in, vocational training board came in, and there's 6 or 7 different disciplines, including carpentry, electrical, and so on.
Mhm.
We opened a daycare facility next to the daycare for children one. This is for children who are out of school, who will come there during the day and we're not into like vocational training. But that's some place they could come off the street, come there and play road tennis, come there and sit down, do drumming, dancing, and so on. Open a gym. 6 o'clock in the morning, gym open. People from the community come, exercise. Open a center for the elderly to pass through. Come in, sit down, spend time together. There's a playing football field. We built a hostel, HOSTEL, a hostel. So you can bring groups out of Barbados or from overseas. It could accommodate 40 people, 40 young people on bunk beds. Okay? We started to do a studio because that community is known for calypsonians and musicians. Corencia Coward, Mr. Dale, we felt that the champion for so many times now. Irene, huh?
I
He from Deacons, all them. We had a rich, so we opened a recording studio. Deacons Farm was a sports community, hockey, football, cricket, volleyball. The government closed it down. Shut it down. Shut it down. I ain't talking about past there, no rats, mice, cockroaches, centipedes, no control the area. Now, you're talking about empowering communities. You provide an environment for community activities to happen. That's the government's role. Provide the environment, not run the things, provide the environment so that the Deacon Development Council to over the management of the facility. And that Urban Development Commission provided staff to monitor it and to provide activities and programs. Right now, if you go down there now, they got a big piano or organ, they know what it is, I don't know, a piano, I think. And the electricity on, when this blackout, doors break. And I passed it this morning because I know it was coming here. The place is in a mess. I saw a couple of months ago, or maybe last month, some guy harassment on there and make noise about it. The government went down there last year, brought the community development, the director of youth affairs and his staff went to Deacon Development Project and made a big statement about they're going to do this, they're going to do that. Nothing has happened. The other issue that I want to raise, I've been talking about facilitating activity. The government of Barbados in 2016 started to develop a home for the Barbados Youth Service in Paragon. 2016. This government been in office since 2018. Not a cent, not a focus has been placed on finishing the home for the Barbados Youth Service. That's a community of young people you're building. You are building some place where young people can go and feel comfortable. They changed the name from the Barbados Youth Service now to the Barbados Advanced Corps. Right? And yet that the name mean a difference. What the advance? The home in Paragon, not a cent spent on it. No, so I'm saying is that a creative government creates an environment for community development to happen. Whether it's the physical community in Deacons, community of young people, a community of choir, people that sing, a community of dancers. You create a theater so that dancers can go and practice their art. You provide a community, an environment for singers to go up. All this government is a walk up, jump up, festival, go and have a good time, go long home, and go sleep. That's all this government has been about.
Mhm.
And I am sorry to say that our country has been the worst for it.
All right, the decline in organized youth and sports program, they become non-existent.
Mhm.
Damien, how can we get it back?
Defense force.
Well, as I tell you, and I'm gonna probably say it again,
Mhm.
bring back the sports program. Bring back the sports program and bring back those disciplines that you find that you really engage in: the football, the cricket, the athletics,
Volleyball, please.
volleyball, basketball. You know, you can expand the program. And I always tell people that my experience in the sports program wasn't always, it wasn't always rosy,
Mhm.
right? But what it taught me was the discipline that when I go out into community, because we used to also give back.
Mhm.
We used to give back, like when it was sporting season and when they needed officials, when they needed umpires, referees, when they needed people to basically run a sporting event, the sports program used to do it.
Mhm.
So we used to go to like the small pastures with the smaller primary schools, I think we may have probably helped out with one or two secondary schools. We would have helped out with knapsack. We would have done exhibition races at BSAC, because then you get to mingle among young people, that sporting community, and the people will come and ask you, tell me about the sports program, what are the benefits,
Mhm.
and then I would box back and tell them, well, if you're the type of person that you don't want to, it's basically a scholarship program, because you can do the same things here. You can get your education. You can get your education. You can probably go as far as UE. There was the option to do that once you made the qualification requirements. You had the option to do that, and you would train and you would get a stipend and you would do competition. And at some point in time, there would be a regional competition that you would get to go to. I remember that the footballers, they went to the military games. I think it was SISM at the time.
Right.
And they went through the competition group stages. They did well, right? Came back home. But Barbados was represented by the Barbados Defense Force sports program, all in Ireland.
Right.
That was done in
Hey, will you
Ireland.
repeat that?
It was in Ireland.
Where?
Ireland.
Oh.
It was in Ireland, and I want to tell you, it's somewhere in between maybe 2004, maybe 2005. That's probably when that competition had came about. So people need to understand that the sports program itself was such a bright beacon. It was a bright beacon for the youth as well. And really and truly, you would expect that they would take the cream of the crop, the best of the best, those who were running the times to get to be recognized regionally and even internationally. They took a chance on me, even though at that point in time I had never represented Barbados at the junior level. I just had an interest in sports, and I told them that I want to pursue my education at the same time, and they told me this is the place to do it. So it's not like if you came in there, I came in there with any prerequisite, reputation or accomplishments. I came in there with absolutely nothing. No education, no certificates, just a love for the sport and a dedication to get from point A to point B. And they facilitated that for me. And I believe that we should have more programs such as that. Even if there's even a dance program, a national dance program, national orchestra, you know, um, even in I guess in regards to whatever it is that you want to do to bring out the best in the youth, you need to invest in it. You just need to identify the areas
Create the environment.
and create the environment, as you said. I will piggyback on that point that you made, comrade. Create the environment, the people will come. But if the environment is not there, if the facilities are not there, imagine you say the community centers are not in operation, but then you know that there was some time way back in the past, people used to use schools, primary schools or secondary schools, to go and do their activities, whether the dance, sports, whatever it is. We have schools that are falling into such disrepair now that it doesn't even make any sense taking children to implement any program and then to participate in it. I have a friend who confided in me that there's a particular primary school in the Pine that does not have toilet seats for the toilets in the bathrooms for the children. So they're utilizing those toilets without any seats at all. So you're just sitting on the bowl itself. I think that is utter madness. So then if the community centers are falling into disrepair, and the schools know you could probably utilize as a makeshift community center and falling into disrepair, and you're not taking care of the infrastructure itself in the community, because these schools are in the community itself, whether rural or urban, then obviously what would you expect? That then the community would then suffer, and it would then devolve and disintegrate. This government needs to do better. But they've had their time. It is our turn now.
Right,
And we
right.
will implement the necessary programs to get our youth
Change is coming.
changes coming back on track.
Right? It is clear that we've lost some of the social glue that once held our people together. But equally clear is that there are solutions if we listen to and invest in our communities again. So let's talk solutions. How can we build Barbados one community at a time in today's context?
You wanna go?
We can start by looking at, again, we talked about letting it flow from the bottom up.
Mhm.
And I saw a comment online, and it actually made me remember something that happened
Mhm.
where it was at a Be Gathering event, and someone was not coming outside because of the person someone who lives in the community was not coming outside because the person that was organizing it, that was there, the main person, doesn't speak to them because of political affiliation.
Mhm.
Wow.
So, and that denies
Dynamic,
you
yeah.
of what you really want to achieve. And let's not politicize community development,
Right.
because it should not be either B
or
D or
K.
any other party,
Right.
KG, whatever the case may be.
Mhm.
But it should always be where the people come first. And if we really want to move it forward, then what I'm saying is that, like, for instance, the people who are on the ground again must be persons who are driving it. And if we go back to yesteryear again, we're talking about, we used to have the villages playing against each other. So sports is a big thing. I know everybody knows I'm big on sports. So if we can have like a sports day where it's organized, we have the Portwell, Welchmore Hall, the Alleyne, Castle, then go to St. James, you have Prospect, you have Fitz Village, you have Haynesville, you have Hoyt, Oxnard, Wanstead, playing against each other in a little competition, Melbourne or Holders Hill, whatever the case may be. That brings back internal parish rivalry, community rivalry, and it brings people together. So when you see that person on the road, etc., that's then how you beat you tomorrow in table tennis or tennis, tomorrow you in cricket, in athletics. So that is one of the simple ways that you can do it. One of the other ways that you can look at it from a more higher level would be, again, you mentioned the Barbados Advanced Youth Court. And if you really want to empower people, it's hard to go into a program for a year or two. But then at the end of the program, what is there for you? So training and then nothing to do afterwards, then it's very frustrating. Actually, it can even be worse. So we need to get corporate Barbados, we need to get the charities and the different grant funding, because government can't do it all. So once we can get that grant funding coming, then I'm saying that we can have the same community centers or whatever the case is, where persons can come and you have a barber, can get a haircut. You have a teacher, can give lessons. Literacy is a big thing now. So these things, we have to find ways then of getting people into the centers, into the church groups, etc., whereby they can actually give back, then person can give back. And you can call on retired persons as well, retired teachers, etc., because they also have a part to play within the resurgence of this. It's not a government problem alone. It's a community thing. Where I said community is retired people. That's a community as well. Right? Persons who were police officers, etc., that live in the community.
I want to do time.
Correct. I come back and give back, so to speak. And that's how you rebuild the communities. It cannot be seen as a government issue only. Government can facilitate.
Is the environment, create the environment.
Correct.
And I just sent a paper to a friend of mine to distribute on cricket in Barbados. They responding to Professor Beckles' books. I went through his books, but he was looking at West Indies cricket, and I did a paper. I did a bridge form of it, and I'm gonna broadcast it over the weekend.
Mhm.
And I'm talking about corporate social responsibility. And I have argued that a lot of the sponsorship for cricket and sports in Barbados moves away from the community level into the national level, because we're focusing on a regional and international audience rather on a community thing. Volleyball was able to develop because sponsors in Barbados sponsor community teams. So Deacons had a sponsor, Progressive had a sponsor, and there was a connection between corporate Barbados and the community. Budge Boy used to be a top of Deacons Road. They sponsored Deacons. So we connected to Budge Boy. You with me? Now sponsorship goes into the BCA, into the national thing. They sell the sponsor and the other one here, float them is sponsor regional cricket, international cricket. We need the connection at the community level where people got a connection, and they may not be able to buy a uniform to play the volleyball or basketball or football, but that's what we need to connect with. I've heard Damien's story about his benefits out of the programs. I have traveled the entire Caribbean and never had to pay. I play volleyball. We went Trinidad, St. Lucia, Antigua, Caribbean Championships. When you are involved in a community activity, you're into play. I play for Deacons, cricket, volleyball, and football, and that made not only the my life rich, it made living the happiest thing you can ever had. I am, if you ask, because he from Deacons, I actually lived in Black Rock, you know, but people say he's a Deacons boy. No, that is community, and the community development created an environment for people like me who would have been a nobody to become somebody because I connected with the community. And I always remember when I was probably about 19 or 20, the same Gordon Walters came to the Deacons community. Some boys, I want some help. We gotta get the community saying to paint, and we ain't got no money. He may say, well, bring the paint. Bring the paint. We can get the brushes and we can paint it. Bring the paint. We chip up 20 cents and 30 cents and 30 cents and buy 4 brushes. And paint Deacons Community Center. We had a scaffold, we went by birds of paint. It just opened down Deacons go and get the cans and put pieces of wood, go and paint Deacons Community Center for Mr. Gordon Walters. That was community development. He created the environment for us to help ourselves. And I'm saying that those things, we're not going to get back to those exact things, but you create an environment not using the same vehicles, but using the same principle of getting communities to help themselves and to involve themselves. You don't go up on the radio and advertise for community leaders. You get your community event officers to go into the communities, interact with people, and the leaders come out. Who are the leaders in the football team? Who are the leaders in the cricket team? Who are the teams in the netball team? You connect with them and say, look, we need a center manage. We need you to help us to organize activities outside netball, to help us deal with violence, with drugs, with prostitution, with promiscuity. You get the environment our community environment officers did. When they met Gordon Walters and Harry Blackhead and their Lord, they didn't come in and tell you to play football. They create an environment for us to have activities, to do debating, to do panel discussions, to do community engagement, so that your intellect is inspired and encouraged. Your sense of belonging is influenced. We don't have that anymore. Who are the community officers in your area? I know everyone that was in my area. I know every single one. I used to do drama, dance, mimes, all the things I did because with a community officer there created an environment for me to do those things. We don't have that experience anymore. But the department is still called community development. Something is wrong with its focus. And I know a Democratic Labour Party under Ralph Thorne, who came through that environment. He was a manager of a dance group, you know. He can't dance. Can't dance, but he was the manager because he helped create the environment for the group members to interact and to respond to their own talents and their own interests. That is what we require. We require officers in the communities creating a development environment. That's what community development is really about. Sorry I had to go on so long.
That's fine, because I'm coming back to you right now. The parish or constituency councils. Us young people, we don't know much about them. Can you tell us how they were running, you know, what the purpose of them were, etc.?
Okay, yeah. Let me just make a general point. I was part, and I got to call his name, Dr. Clyde Maskell. Was part of the decision to go to council. Yeah, not Dickens, man. And my cousin, to be truthful, my cousin, I love him. But we wanted to move the focus away from the top-down process. And Barbados had a very bad history with the old councils and so on. You all know the story of the city council and central council. You all know those stories, the vestry system. But I want to make the statements because we leave the opposition and my boss would start telling me I always get personal. But the former Prime Minister and Premier and the Honorable Great Evan Barra moved the city out of the vestry system. I mirror my words from the thing.
You're being diplomatic.
Right? Move the city out of that issue because it was a poor barrel and you should treat poor people bad. And when we sat down, Clay Maskell was the leader of the opposition in 2001 to 2003, so on. He said, look, we can't go back to these city councils and those councils. We need a body that can move the focus away from central government and have response in the communities. And he came up with this concept of constituency councils. Well, we didn't win in 2003. We won in 2008, and David Thompson was then the leader, and we went straight into establishing it. My analysis after the fact is that we did not take it as seriously as we ought to. And we were afraid to do what we needed to do with the councils. But that was a key program. And if we had managed that protest well, all these levels of crime and confusion, we would not have.
So is it something that you would recommend?
Oh, yes.
That the Democratic Labour Party restart?
No. So we need to connect our communities, central government, and you need an institution that connects the top to the communities. Right now, the politicians, people come to politicians, and the people want this and they want that, and they feel like they're begging. A council that is located within the communities can identify the needs of the community, whether it's at an individual level, a group, or family level. Okay, and there's no connection to the political vote. And I am aware that the leader of the opposition was charged with the responsibility of looking out and writing a paper. He's done a study on local government, and it right now is located somewhere in the Prime Minister's office or one of her assistants, one of her influencers or consultants in the bottom drawer. That Mr. Commission and our leader after did a study on the value of local government. But this government is so concerned of top-down management that it is down in the cobwebs in somebody's drawer. The DLP led by Ralph Thorne to take it out of the cobwebs, circulate the report within months of government, ask feedback, and let's get a structure that the communities are happy with, and let's run. We're bringing it from top down into bottom up and connecting somewhere in the middle so that all people are participating in their own development. That is what a good progressive government would want. And that is where you are, the place you are, because you had a program that connected you at the community level with where your aspirations will go. And that's where you are too, because you came to a process where there's connection between you where you want to go and where the opposites are. I benefited it as well, because the process that I came from was working in my communities, environment created, and they went right through the process. President, the Volleyball Association, all those things, because environment was created for personal and community development.
Right. We have an interesting question here online from Lena Bell. Are the young candidates on board with what some might say old-fashioned ways of Ralph Thorne and Derek? Can we hear if or what ideas this young panel would like to see going forward? I'm going to start with Damien.
I have one particular idea, and it would involve the constituency councils that you talked about. I think that we need to really empower constituency councils and maybe even reform the legislation. But I realize that the minister has the power to appoint all 15 members. If you really want to talk about increased community involvement and development, I believe that whatever opposition might be at that time, well, it might be this time, so then we could probably accommodate them. We could give them a voice on that particular council, reform it to where that we could, the minister or the prime minister himself would pick 10 individuals, and then we give 5 voices to the opposition. They could probably choose them through their branches, or maybe it could come fall under the purview of the opposition leader herself, right? So we start that and we give them a voice. So then we will have an increased robust conversation regarding participation. And you obviously would try to put the partisan politics aside. It's about community development, and we could bounce ideas off of each other, because what people fail to recognize is that political representation isn't representing who vote for you. It's representing the people who vote for you and who didn't vote for you. You understand? So then that's how you get that that complete involvement in the community. And I believe that we need to do a mass canvas of the people who are skilled in the community, because I have this belief that a community can work for each other, and I would love to implement a policy of community works, where that those individuals who might have particular issues in regards to, like, say, housing issues, where that their properties are damaged, you go and you canvas those skilled artisans and you invest into a program where that those individuals, because now we're in a situation where that the failed increase in minimum wage has now increased underemployment. So those individuals now, through a community works program, could supplement those days, and you pay those individuals for those days. Whether that it might be somebody who is qualified in elderly care, you canvas those individuals who have elderly persons in their home, and you have a registered nurse that lives in that community. That nurse gets that information, goes and checks that individual, and you pay that individual for that particular service. And that is an investment that government can get involved in. So we can do it from basically looking at a perspective where that you get carpenters, you get masons, you get sports individuals, you get these people that could help the community to not only, in a sense, take care of itself, but grow. You help individuals with their issues in regards to like if there is let's say that this person doesn't have proper plumbing. You find the plumbers in the constituency, you task them with a mandate, and you pay them for that labor. And they're doing the work in the community and bringing those individuals together. And that is a policy that I would love to see implemented, where that rather than spending money in the regatherings, we spending money in the community, empowering people to come and bring up their trade and do a service for somebody who's in need, and you pay that individual, because you can only party so much. There are individuals right now who are underemployed and unemployed, and they need something to help them supplement some form of income. So for me, I believe that through the constituency councils, we can do a mass canvas and get those skilled individuals on board, implement programs where that they can go out into the community and play their trade, and you pay those individuals. That is what I believe in. And I will put it out there to any individual who is listening who might be on the other side of government. You heard it here first. This is our idea. You heard it here first. That's all I'm going to say.
Mr. Graves.
Yes, I totally agree with Damien. The one of the things that I've recognized as well, there are some community centers I think are underutilized. In fact, the one by Holy Instance, I don't even think that there is a caretaker there right now.
But he didn't tell you call me it, or you called me it.
That used to be a big
Use my phone.
In that parish as well. So we need to staff the community centers as well. My vision would be to see even like an admin assistant in the actual community center. That person will be tasked with dealing with letters, assisting persons that need a printer, letter, and a CD, application forms, anything like that. We should also have computers whereby you can come in, and if they have an SBA or a project to do some research, I know there are some mini libraries that we had that we've introduced recently in certain jurisdictions. So my thinking is that if we can add some computers to the centers, person can come and do after school homework, etc. And parents should also come along as well too. Where if you're having the same retired teachers, or there are also some law teachers who are trying to get into the system, they can probably go into the centers and assist persons with their homework or even reading, etc. So those are things that can be done within the centers because they're currently underutilized. Yes. Those will be the things that I would want to see in the near future. We do have the youth commissioners that are in the communities. And I know, for instance, especially in my community, young Johnny Baxton, he would have taken over from Peter Skeet. And a lot of people know of Peter Skeet, his commitment over the years. And Johnny is doing an excellent job as well in that community. So the youth commissioners are tasked with coming up with projects, etc. And I think that we need to just encourage them as well to work alongside with the parish independence committees, the constituency councils. It's not about reinventing the wheel, but once everybody's at the grassroots working together, I believe we can see empowerment coming through our communities.
Excellent.
No, I just want to make a point though. You call it the gentleman Skeet name?
Peter Skeet.
And I see they giving out all kind of awards for the gathering or the wherever it is. If there is one person from St. James, I really believe that to get an award for his dedication, community development, youth development, is Peter Skeet. He's been a tireless servant of that community. And it's disrespect that they can be calling out people that know it. So I'm telling them, please include Peter Skeet.
I'm happy that you actually made that point because I didn't want to make it political, saying that he's my constituent. But when I heard the list of persons who have gotten the Pride of Barbados award we're speaking of, I was a bit hurt that he was not included.
Look, I've known him for like nearly 25 years working in that community, building out young people, working hard to get that community organized. And there should be the first name. I mean, there are other people who would have done stuff too. But Peter Skeet, you can't name 10 people in that community and not Peter Skeet. You know him, Damien? He used to do dance, drama. When we got opening, we used to open an activity for youth affairs. He used to bring a group. I'm talking about last year, 10 years ago, as long as 15 or 20 years ago, Peter Skeet and Sam Skeet's brother, cricketer that played for West, for Barbados.
I've heard the name, but I've not had the pleasure.
Well, you have never met him.
I've never met
This is an excellent human being who has given human service. I don't know his politics. I don't know. I don't care. I'm saying the amount of work that he has done, he should have been included in any awards, those people. And don't tell me too young to get it. I see some nuisances in other countries to get awards. I'm sorry to have to be so direct. Because you know what I mean? I ain't got the manners. But Peter Skeet should have received an award for his outstanding service for St. James.
All right, we have another question here online from Esther Blue. Would the Democratic Labour Party support community centers doubling as business incubators, skills training hubs, or even after-school spaces for children?
Yeah, most definitely, because where else you're going to go? That is basically the foundation of the community development, right? The community center. So you would see scenarios, obviously, where that we would support, especially individuals who can give something back to the community, who want to share knowledge and who want to give advice. You give them a space so that they can do that, and then help empower young people to, I guess, find themselves in the community, and not only just in the community, but in wider society itself. So I would support an idea like that for sure.
I don't know. I mean, I'm 72 years old. I as a grandfather here.
Don't look a day over 60.
And that's what the community centers used to be. My mother learned I say at Deacon's Community Center. Yeah, my mother is in 91 or 90. She learned icing at Deacon's Community Center. That's what she learned icing. She went to hotel school and too, but she learned icing at this community center. You know what I'm saying? We learn skills training. The paper that led to the formation and development of skills training was written by Gordon Walters, the same Gordon Walters that I spoke to you about as the chief community officer, that the school in Christchurch, they're in Packers or wherever it is, they're in outside St. Patrick's. His name after Gordon Walters Primary School. He wrote the concept paper for skills training because he said that the community centers, as they were not equipped to deal with skills development at the community level. And he wrote the concept paper. Lionel Craig was the minister of youth and community development at that time. I was working in the department at the time. And Gordon wrote it, and he went there, he set up youth council, and then he wrote the paper for skills training and development. And it's because the community centers many of them were small. I mean, when I Deacons, you put table tennis board inside there, you can't pass. You got squeeze pass to get through. So they were not big. They were mainly like pavilions. Most of them were pavilions or buildings that were converted. And I can tell you that there were St. Michael had 3. And then over time they built more. The one at St. James Trents was a very popular one that created youth creative expression. Trents Northern, they did wonderful work in Barbados. The one at Bathsheba too was very popular. You understand? But those community centers were the hubs of the activities. We had the inter-center games, which was athletics, cricket, football. They didn't have volleyball. Then inter-center games where every community that had a community center competed. Lorna Ford, well, we're too young to know Lorna Ford. She was one of Barbara's best female athletes. She came back and ran for her communities, Emerton. And that guy, he lives up in Brittons Hill. He came and ran for the one in Brittons Hill. So you those things were active community events where the community came and competed against each other. So I'm saying yes, but we have skills training programs that we need to marry with the communities. And let me put a plug here now for urban. I was an urban development commissioner, I told you. And we tried to marry our programs with the Vocational Training Board. So the Deacons Complex I spoke about, we met with the Vocational Training Board. And in addition to our evening or after school programs, they ran carpentry, plumbing, those programs during the day. And in the afternoon, then the community took over. The community did its own programs afterwards. The same facility now is now closed. So yes, it is an easy marriage.
Mhm.
Marriage.
All right, Pedro, coming to you. How can we reintegrate the seniors and vulnerable persons into community life?
Well, if people know me, I'm very passionate about youth and the elderly. And what I've found within I have mentioned before, just repeat it quickly, in terms of the retired teachers, retired police officers, people within the professionals, within the communities who can come back and give back at these community centers. Again, we can have not just about the maths and the English or the academics or whatever the case would be, but we're talking about these life lessons. Persons within the community all know, at least somebody every district should know about CPR and first aid. So a lot of things that we can actually do within the community centers. In terms of the elderly, a number of persons I know by the mill there in on Oxners, they go on the dance and CF. So dancing, ballroom dancing over in St. George, by the Parish Church. Ballroom dancing is a big thing over by, now I see it happening as well over by Draxall, Ellerton. So ballroom dance is a big thing as well. So you want to be able to get persons out and those activities. Again, I cannot speak about sports. And when I go through Bridgetown, when I go to Alleyne around Barbados, you'll see a lot of people playing 13-hand tone.
They can play
drafts and dominoes. So, and oftentimes I would have had these days, but I've been told I used to be on these street lights to late hours in the morning, not only telling stories, etc. So maybe we can look at trying to bring that back a bit as well to like street light stories and having the centers used for tournaments where the elderly can come and play the hearts, etc., whatever the case be, and give them something, you know, make it. And I actually can see this actually even becoming all part then. So the winners of each community could go on then to the gymnasium around November Independence for these independence games, so to speak. So we need to create activities that keep communities and the elderly going, etc. The final point on the elderly, though, before you move, would be that it allows them to not just stay home and do nothing. Right, because once you're active, it keeps your brain going, etc. And then you add years to your golden years.
Yeah, I want to make a comment about that. We had the inter-center games, as we said just now. Dominoes, so table tennis. We used to go and play against Panelists. That's down in Chaplain. Belleplaine, them had a team. One in Christchurch. Randall's. Deacons gone out there, we get a minibus, we pack it. Suppose the world play, we got 20 in it, and we go on there to play table tennis against the group from Randall's. Had one in St. Joseph. We going to play table tennis. Because there were centers where activities. The truth is, the general house, you had somewhere to go. And the center was the place to go. The center was the place to go when you leave. The young people now can get in the cars and get the things and go. Maybe we had the cars, so you had to find somewhere to go. So the centers were the places to go. So that's where we went, and therefore activities then were held at the centers. But the other point, is the churches had fancy Anglican churches, Anglican young people associated with AYPS. All and that's how the Barbados Youth Council was formed. It came out of the AYPA. And I'm saying the churches also took part. The police had sports groups. I learned to play table tennis and drafts at Black Rock Police Station. And then the police had police boys club. Yes. So what I'm saying is, I don't know why we can't connect our schools back to activities like them, connect the schools to the community centers, or bring the communities into the schools to have activities. But this government has brought a policy now that if you want to use the school, you got to get insurance. You're going to have a football game. You know how the DLP to go on meeting. DLP won't have a meeting at Lawrence, the DLP school law. They just call it school. You got to go get insurance. To do what? You're going to have activity community group. You know what I'm saying? Where you gonna get insurance? Ain't like you got a fair or a dance and you're charging money. You have a normal meeting, you got a fly and go. Make arrangements. We should still be able to go and make arrangements with the principal or the head of the department or whatever. Get access to the watchman who let you in. Make sure you don't do anything. Check the room to see nothing and break up and leave. You go along home. The school is your place. It's your school. It ain't the government school. It's the school of Bajans, the community school. Bring connection with the school and the community. Let me feel part of it. I remember my parents went to high school. Summer vacation, me and Hall was calling me paint in school. We built Deacons Volleyball Club, prevented podium, paint Deacons. I mean, Eagle Hall Primary School, painted. I provided podium for and all them things because we connected to the school. No, there's this big separation. You gotta get permission to do this. You gotta call the ministry. And you know, this top down management, this control by the government, by the MPs want to hold on to everything. If you want something, if you want to get a house fixed, you must get a letter from you MP. Sick, man. It's a sick thing. It was a director urban, and when it came with that policy to me, I said, no, as long as director, I don't want a letter from anybody. People make an application, it comes to the committee, it goes to the no, I want a letter from the MP. No, as long as director here. No, man. Foolishness. Absolute rubbish.
So what we're hearing is that development isn't only a government responsibility. It's a shared national project that begins with trust, participation, and pride. We have another comment here online from Esther Blue. Would the DLP be willing to waiver some of these insurance costs, helping the communities to function more normal?
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of the things I would actually speak to persons within communities looking to host events. Now, I spoke to the St. Thomas Parish Independence Committee before, and they normally have activities and they're quite able to pay for public liability insurance for the entire year for activities. And I would suggest that if you're having an activity, reach out to your parish independence committee, because I can tell you, put it through them, because I can tell you that the St. Thomas Parish Independence Cricket Knuckle competition actually stopped 1 year because of what you just said, because of the public liability issue. We can use the sports council venues because of that. So just because the experience, yes, let people know they can go to their PICs and ask them to put that as part of the calendar events, so they don't have to look for that insurance.
That's where the constitution councils and the local government institutions are critical, and they take responsibility for those things. Yes. Rather than ask a little group, little volleyball club with 14 little young people to go and find insurance, because they want to keep a little party to raise money to buy uniforms. So the councils, the local government institutions will look after those things, and they will sponsor and look after paying for the insurance and those things.
All right. Throughout tonight's program, our viewers online have been sharing their thoughts and questions. So let's just focus on some comments. So one of the questions that came in was, why are so many community centers closed or underused? Damien.
Poor management. Poor management, and I guess in a sense, a lack of proper direction. Because I remember Derek saying earlier that it seems like the government, they consult with themselves. This top-down approach, they do not consult with the people. So basically, you have this DLP echo chamber where the Prime Minister speaks to 28 individuals and they repeat back the exact same thing they say to her coming back. So it's an echo chamber. It's an echo chamber, right? So rather than getting in now to the constituencies itself and liaising with the people, talking to the people, and most I would guarantee you the people would tell them, we want back the community centers to be up and operational. But obviously we have situations where in some constituencies there are people complaining that they have not seen their minister for years. And then they're not even seeing the individuals who represent them. And you only see them, you know, when they want something from you. So obviously now you can't expect to have, I guess, that that community connectivity with your representative if he or she is not there. So I'm sure that once the government they take the bottom up approach, get back into the community, they will hear people telling them we want back these community centers, because it can be a situation this is like an epidemic. There's so many that are closing, and then the youth don't have anywhere to go other than the places that you don't you don't want them to go, to engage with individuals that you don't want them to engage with. So basically, it's this government's fault.
If you think about it, the government wants this government start a block program. I find it so laughable. The government came into office in 2008. Within 3 months, they start this program called the block program. Now, what the block program was supposed to do was to build facilities on the block for the people sitting on the block.
To play the trade and kiosks, I believe.
That kind of environment. They went to do one in Jackson, and then they started. The land that belongs to somebody. Man said, don't put that on my place. Because the people that lying there, and the government went to put a facility to accommodate the block. They went into Bush Hall up on the tamarind tree and put it at the same issue. I want you all to stop and to think. A community center is supposed to be multi-purpose to provide a space for people with skills and talents to meet, develop, and to market whatever skills they have. You decide that you got a group of boys hanging out on the tamarind tree, and you're going to get the commissions, but they can get urban development director to do it, to go and put down a structure for main congregate in. Rather than developing the centers creative enough, pull them into the centers so that the young connect with the old, the needy connect with the skilled persons. Not create an environment for people just wanting to hang out, to find some place to cool out. No, a DLP government understands that a community center is what it is, a community center where the community converges. People that have skills and people that don't have skills. So that those that have, that is on each one going to teach one. That is what a community center is about. Each one teaching one. So that everybody benefits. I get the chance to teach somebody gets a chance to learn, and then somebody teach me. I didn't interested in table tennis, but if you're going to come inside, everybody playing table tennis and you want to be part of it, you will play. If you go on the block, everybody smoking here, what you going to do? You join. You go to the community center and they organize creative activities that build personality, that build community. You get part of it. But this government got this phobia that they got to do what people feel comfortable for the people, not for development. It's about developing a community, not satisfy interest of a little group of people. And we as a government in waiting have to start examining the environment in which Barbadians live, go back to all our community centers, look and see what has been happening in them for the last 5 years, and find ways to make those spaces active and creative. I know at Deacons, our center is underutilized. The one in the farm shut down. With that community center, nothing happens. Okay? The one out on Bushall there, where the pavilion there, when that with the large school and the old college, they play football. Bragging rights. If that don't play, nothing happens there. You could go cross it, you could go down Emerton, nothing's. You walk across because there is no focus on getting people to come to the centers because there are activities that they want. So some of the centers need upgrading. young people into computer programming, into those things, put them in the centers. Get them in the centers. And I mean, but them things, I don't know me. I 72.
Robotics.
Them things that the children that be doing it, put them in centers. When you get them in there, you can then get them to do some of the things that are wholesome. You understand? But get them physically in there. Get the things that they're doing at home, because a lot of the kids don't have them at home. Some of the better off kids got the access to those things. Get them in the center so the kids can come there and then get wholesome activities and programs organized to support the kids when they're doing the things that they like. That's what happened to us. When they do draft, table tennis, then they talk us of personal development, hygiene, brushing your teeth, combing your hair, bathing. when I remember feel like what he's saying here, when you go up in the 1960s and 70s, you had a bath home, you know. You bring a bucket of water in your bed. So when he comes, you saying there the importance of bathing, importance of brushing your teeth. When they're laughing, but when these people when they're young, you know.
Yeah.
You understand? So I'm saying you came in there to play games and things, but taught in the schools were things that were important for your own personal health and development. We get the kids in the school. We can talk about drugs. Do the things, blah, 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 blah. And you put an act, getting the act about fighting drugs. No, get them in there. Make the centers attractive for young people and for elderly people. Make the facilities accommodating for elderly people that they can come there and watch some old movies, old cowboys and Nazi Lucas and them things. So they want, let me go to your house and go to the center and let me talk about 1960s. Back in time program, dancing. It's gonna be saying they can't dance, they're too small. Widen them. I may be living in paradise or dreaming for paradise. But that's how you change the world. You got to dream. And the DLP, the Democratic Labour Party, is a dreaming party.
Yes, we are.
They look forward, open its mind, be creative, and change the environment so that 20 years ago, people look back and say, see 11 plus, it was a massive move. It couldn't have happened before, you know. It couldn't happen, but when the DLP do it, now we look back and 40 or 50 years later, we recognize the difference it made in people's lives. But when we start doing DLP behind and said they can do it, it could not happen. Could not happen.
We have another question here from Esther Blue. Shouldn't there be more investment in grassroots sports? Damon, I'm going to bring this one to you.
Yeah, there's no doubt there should be more investment in grassroots sports, because I don't want to say grassroots to just say, you know, put on a competition where that you probably, you know, host the inter-community competitions and so on. But I want to get down to like the nitty-gritty, the youth, the younger children, those coming into their toddler years, find them, develop them, get them into a love of sports, you know, and then you just build from there on, from primary on to secondary, and then even if they translate into tertiary, into the University of West Indies, they have an excellent sports program up there where that they offer education, and they also offer scholarships for those individuals who play for the Blackbirds. So I believe that yes, there should be more grassroots investment in sports. I go wax poetic about the Barbados Defense Force sports program, but if we're going to talk about investment in sports, you need to really get down to those young years, like starting them from 5 and 6, where you could get the hand-eye coordination, you know, getting them started and getting them appreciation to know the difference between games and sports. And that is something that needs to be instilled at an early age, because I find that back in the day, sports itself never really used to get the respect that it should have commanded from the beginning. The curricula used to call PE games.
Physical education.
Yeah, now we find that transition to referring it to its proper name, physical education, because it is an education. because not only do you learn about the sport itself, you learn about the theory of coaching, you know about the kinesiology, you know about proper action, you know about injuries, you understand me? You nutrition,
Yeah.
doping, getting competition, you know, how to carry yourself. So I believe that we, especially people seem to underestimate that how blessed we are that as a small nation we can produce world beaters. We can produce people like Obadeli Thompson, Sir Gary, we can Gordon Greenidge, we can
David Bowen.
Yeah. We can produce
And Alleyne. Damien. You can say Ralph Thorne.
You can say Ralph Thorne. Yeah, Ralph Thorne. Ralph, yeah, that's your friend there. So
most boys anybody ever let go. Most boys.
Yeah, Michael King, Carrot King in football, you know, Adrian Hall, you know, because is a small nation by its population size and its topography, we should not be that well represented on the international regional stage, but we are, because every generation we seem to produce one. So if we could produce one, why can't we produce two, three, four, five? Yeah. Which means that you need to get them into that grassroots investment and identify them and then put them on a path where that they can succeed at something that they probably will not even fathom when they were 5 or 6 years old, but you just put them in the right space where that they can recognize early, this could be a career for me. And not only that, instill national pride in the community itself, when we, not just to show up when they're competing, but to support them right through, because competition is just not competition itself. There are phases. You go through your off season, your macro cycles, and then you go into your specific, you know, micros when it coming into competition, where you're going to be tapering off now to get into that national, you know, that national representation, more coming down to nationals and so on, so that you peak at the right time. So yes, we need greater investment, because I believe that we can find more Sagaris, we can find more Obas, we can find more Andrea Blackett's, we can find more Ryan Brathwaite's, we can find a whole host of people.
What do you think Jamaica can produce world beaters every year? They got program.
They invest.
There is an investment.
It's an investment.
It don't happen because people are good athletes or got good bodies. There is a program. And we had a program for cricketers and football. It's free. They're only free cook now. When we can't get Montserrat beat in football. We can't get Antigua beat. I went to football at the stadium and we beat Antigua 11-love. Barbados beat Antigua 11-love. We had to go downstairs, you know, got a little some pebbles off of the cycle track, take out rocks to count the goals. We can't get Montserrat and got a population of 3,000 beat. St. Kitts and Nevis, them two countries developed into two things and beating Barbados. We don't have a clear understanding of the value of sports. And sports and community development, drama and community development, nutrition, community development, the elderly and community development, all those things are disciplines that need to merge. Community development is a central program for national development. You build national development through community development. And each of the disciplines need to be fed through a community development program that draws on a structure that invites participation, connectivity, and collective behavior and responses to issues that can build up people. All this drug thing and the policing thing, community policing was the reason why we had our hands on top of crime. When we had community policing, we reduced the level of crime. We shut down community policing. And we had a community force in Deacons. We just shut it down. I mean, not shut down, I mean, shut it down. That one in Orleans, shut down. When you move away from your community and focus on your community, you create individuals without a connectivity, without connection to the physical or people development. And the Democratic Party, with Ralph Thorne as the leader, understands that.
Yeah.
He said that without fear of contradiction. He's lived it. He's been part of the process. We can't go back to where he was. but we can borrow from the past and
Mhm.
build up new mechanisms that can help us foster and focus on an environment that allows creativity to work
Mhm.
and let communities work.
Mhm.
I am confident about that.
All right, Pedro, should government funding go directly to communities to manage small projects for themselves?
Yes. The go back to the youth commissioners again. The youth commissioners, as I said before, they plan the events and they go back, and once it gets approved, sorry, let me come back again. They go into the communities and they assess the needs and wants of the community. And then they come up with that plan and then they go to get funding for it. And Derek would have hinted on it before, Damien hinted as well. Sometimes you don't want to say these things, but it happens. Depends on who you are, then you get approval for, and the same people continue to get the same funding for the same programs, and it's not spread across the entire pool. And then what happens then is that people then get frustrated and they don't turn up or support events. So there's money there. There's money there, but it's not trickling down. It's not being passed to a collective, but in only to a one largesse or one sector or one section. So what I would want to see more, as mentioned before, is one, you talk about the business communities within the constituencies and the parishes coming and being hands-on and giving back. You can even call it, we used to call it adopt a school, adopt a village. So that's what needs to happen with the business community. We have grant funding, we have charities, but where it comes to government, what I would want to see is that it doesn't necessarily have to go to a minister for approval, but persons are able to then say and use their good judgment and pass it, whether B, D, C, G, or F.
In Barbados, they had 108 BCL clubs. 108 BCL clubs. St. Michael only had 28 cricket clubs playing BCL. You know what I mean? 28 communities were organized behind a team. 28 communities were organized behind a team. Every weekend, 28 communities came out and sat on a pasture. At least 14, because two teams playing. Came out and sat on a pasture. Somebody said pudding and sauce. Somebody said toffees. Somebody said donks. Little boys run out and watch the cricket. And the community celebrated or hurt when the team win or lose. Right? That don't happen. When Weymouth Wales went to the stadium, when God Hill came to the stadium, the team, it didn't 12 people. It was carloads and busloads heading to the stadium. The community went there. And then the communities went into the village and watched the teams practice. And then organized God Hill can play against Silver Hill. And then they can then pick the best of them to make the national, when they say that, the community team. We can't get back there. What's wrong? We've got two people from Weymouth. Weymouth Wales ain't got the Godders, the Clarks, the Daisleys, and them. They got people that live in St. Lucie, people from St. Lucia and Trinidad. We are not making our young people aware of where they are, who they are, and where they come from. And I believe strongly that the primary schools hold the key building community connections and awareness. Secondary schools are not located in the same community. People come from all over, but the primary schools generally still hold that connection to people. Certainly, Eagle Hall infants, Wesley Hall infants, had no going back to Chapman and Westbury and so on. So got some elite schools that people come from St. John and St. Philip and go to school there. But I think we need to connect the primary schools into our communities and build up the children into connecting to the role of community development in their lives.
All right, we have a comment here from Lena Bell. I'm loving these ideas. Please don't Renege on them when it's your turn. We are tired of the pretty words and no action. There's a potential within this new Democratic Labour Party. I hope you will not be tainted. Thank you, Lena. Pedro, I'm going to come to you.
No, not to her.
Yeah.
About what happened.
What role can the church, sports clubs, and NGOs play in communities?
Yes. The churches, to me, are very significant. A church brings structure. Even if you has also the religion, it gets brings structure. Some people will tell you have to get up in the mornings, you make your bed every day, because that's a bring some sort of structure into your life. So forget religion on a whole now, but the church and the principles in which they make you into a better individual. And most of us would have had that church upbringing, so the church plays a key role. And what I would want to see then is persons within the church. If I miss church in my district when I was growing up, the pastor or one elder will come and tell my mother, well, why you ain't come church, or why you don't come church, or whatever the case may be. Right? And so you need to be your brother's keeper still. And one person from within the church to go into the communities and get the children. Even if you have to pass and pick them up and carry them there yourself, you have to get people back into the church.
I think you're right. And you made a general point. When you were growing up, you were in church in your community. Yeah. We got churches now that come from all over. People come from all over the workplace and go to church. I have no connection with the community. Yeah. It's just connected to the church. I went to say I'm a St. Leonard's boy because I'm a Westbury Road boy. And that's where my connections were. So every year we had an excursion. And as a little boy, don't care what happened. You have to go to excursion and it connect you to your church. So you went to church, you went to the CLB, you went to the choir, everything with the church. Now those things are not happening, especially because a lot of the Anglican churches are not getting the kind of fellowship. A lot of people going to the Pentecostal churches and they're not coming to the church in their community. They're going to, I don't want to call them church, but they're going to popular churches and they're building a church community has no connection to the physical community. And it's something that you can't stop, but you have to build up programs that they can help the community in which the church is located. I know we St. Leonard's still do a feeding program. Other schools, other churches do other programs or which programs that connect to the community. We have to help churches to do more than just those directly needed, like feeding programs, providing counseling and so on, but dealing with young people and getting young people to come to church, and not for fellowship, but because the physical space is there. So we can need to get back to Anglican football tournament, Anglican volleyball tournament, Anglican Christian thing, Anglican singing competition, Anglican that that church, a drumming competition. We need the churches need to touch young people. I don't know what it's called the things. Do a competition with that.
The gaming.
Get them coming to you. What we young people doing? Let's have it in the church. So they want to come to church. I went to church to go in the choir because it was something to do, right? And I ain't like singing on, but I want your house. So I go to church and go to choir, and then I go on CLB because Tuesday and Thursday when they say, for the house, and my mother can't tell me stop. I going out. So the church provided avenues for me when I was a little boy. Now the guys want to play these whatever you want to call them, put them in church. The church got the space. I asked the congregation to put $10 a person and put them in the auntie room and tell the children come down here and we got competition. Still in the church used to do ballroom dancing. Because the old people want to do that. Right? What do young people want to do to get them in here? Because they say they want to do what we must call it.
I'll probably put the game is good idea. I'll probably put it inside the community centers and the pavilions, but not necessarily church. But
No,
but
the church has got them rooms in
Different
there.
rooms.
Entertainment
I know,
rooms.
but feels it.
But then in gambling, it is finger dexterity and thinking.
But back to the question you were asking too, in terms of even so I spoke about the churches. If you look now at the community centers or even these sports pavilions, now again, persons will go there on evenings and they do the scrimmaging of football or cricket or whatever the case may be. And what is it don't like? You mentioned feeding programs, but I don't necessarily like that we kind of highlight that too much. It is needed, but I want people to still have their dignity. So even like back to school and feeding program, it should not be that people are up on a camera or whatever and showing that someone is getting this or whatever the case be, because then people may be hungry and they not go because they don't want to be in the spotlight, because social media now, you know what I mean, it's not even the media, but which is the nation or whatever coming, but someone just taking a picture and then put it up there. So you want to do things that don't necessarily that people feel comfortable coming to and being a part of. So at the sports clubs, I believe that the business community and also government should give sports clubs some sort of salvation as well too, because again, if they're during the evening, I have been in communities whereby just a simple corned beef and biscuit, tuna and biscuit, a plus or more B or whatever. So if it is that these persons that, like for instance, Melbourne, it's a very big community area, Holders Hill, if things that are happening there, why, because people, you will see a lot of people coming out, and as we said, the parents will bring the children to run out, and people can sit down and talk, and that's when you build back communities as well, right? By letting the people at the grassroots level, not politicizing it, but actually making it into a reality at the grassroots level.
Well said. So let's leave our viewers tonight with hope and a plan. If we are serious about rebuilding community life, what are the first 3 things that must happen? I'm going to start with Damien.
Rebuilding community life, what are the first 3 things that must happen? I think I might have mentioned one for sure. Bring back the constituency councils, revamp them, in a sense, reform the legislation where that everybody has a voice. So even the party that's in opposition can also have a mechanism where they can appoint people to constituency councils. So we have that robust conversation. Second thing, invest in the community itself. Implement policies that allow individuals to have their skills, not only to attain skills, but those who might have skills in the community already, they can actually go out into the community and do some good. And then by that way, if you're investing in it, then obviously you're providing them with maybe some form of income. And in the same sense, you can also empower those individuals who have skills in the community to teach and give back, teach a trade in the community centers, which brings me to the third point. We need to get our community centers open and furbish, active, and also outfit them to meet the today's standards of what a community center might be. Even if that includes introducing multimedia, you know, and spaces where that the individuals themselves can engage in the robotics, as you say, or even maybe some form of AI. You might never know. You might never know. Maybe that I would love to see our community centers get to a point that where that we can have AI seminars or maybe even AI classes, workshops, those types of things, because then you don't want to just limit it to like maybe just sports or just teaching skills, but moving it in the direction where the future is going, because we are moving into a digital future. And AI seems to be the big thing now. I don't know if you're seeing them fake AI videos. These things are very, very, very convincing. You know, and I guess you can also put the legislation in place that helps protect the community centers, because really and truly, there's nowhere in the year of our Lord 2025 we should have so many community centers that are inoperational. So those are 3 things I would probably look at in regards to getting our community back to where it once was.
Pedro?
I was in my constituency, and a guy was informing constituency, was saying, the resident was saying that he's paying road tax. He cuts grass, so he's paying road tax for cutting grass, right? His backer. Right? He doesn't have a car, but he's paying road tax because cutting grass.
But gasoline.
And then that guy, then he had a jet ski, so he's paying road tax as well on the water. So I say that to say that maybe we can have a community renewable or fund whereby we can lower the cost of road tax maybe and put it or take some of that excess that we're getting, the millions in excess, and put it into community development because it is so important. And again, as mentioned before, if we can have that moving, then we can see a reduction in crime. Right, so it's all interlinked. It's a reduction in crime. So that's one of the things we want to see more money being pumped into that. And by that, I'm also speaking into more money. It then will address some of the unemployment concerns as well. Because as mentioned before, if persons go into the Barbados youth service, now the Barbados Advanced Youth Corps, and then they spend 2 years training, and there's no source of employment for at the end of the day. What is happening? It's someone who's frustrated and don't know where to go. So we have to find avenues, which is truly seeing community centers where everyone, if it is someone who's a painter, they can actually paint the same community centers, paint some of the housing areas. All right, so find work for them. It's not hard. Find work for them. Right, and in terms of the barber, you have a set days or whatever kids on Fridays on Saturday mornings, and the barber goes to the community center, and then you make sure the person comes and cleans afterwards or whatever the case be. But again, on the evenings, if it's a Thursday evening for the elderly, they can come up with it. So you have set days planet at the community centers where people can come and feel a part. So that is how we want to see us moving forward in terms of community development.
My thing is empowering, creating the environment, and then enabling people. I made the Urban Development Commission, and we had a problem with maintenance of urban housing. Poor people, ain't got any money to paint the houses and to keep the houses going. So it was a strain there in urban. You want an urban house, everywhere if you got gear, we got to go and get clean, you got to get painted. So a young lady said, well, we don't do a gardening competition. It's a gardening competition. So if you got time to do a gardening competition, come in to look at the garden, you got to keep your house clean. And I said that it's creating an environment for people to in the gardening competition says, well, if I got people going to come and judge the gardening, they can see the house. So that was the idea that has stayed with me. That she didn't look directly at the house. She looked at what will make you want to make your house comfortable because people coming at it. And that competition went on for about 5 or 6 years. And we saw an improvement in the care of the house. Because although you're doing a garden outside, come to judge the garden, you don't want the garden to look pretty and the house look unsightly. So they started to take better care of the house. So that's creating an environment. However you can do it. I just use that as an example. You empower people. How do people get access to community centers? Go send a letter to the development department. When they want to use it, they got to pay insurance. Remove those obstacles. And you don't want a committee to do it. Get people using the center, and a committee emerges that will look after the center and plan the activities of the center because it's community that is using it. Enable them by getting corporate Barbados to focus on building out activities in the community. I'm making an advert for nobody. Belleplaine was very good to deacons. Very good to deacons. You can call on them. And we want to do cleanup, make a contribution, give us the cans. You want to paint the school? Where's the paint? We give you the paint, the brushes. You need more corporations to pick communities, support them, and take some of the pressure from central government because that's not the aim. But what you do is giving people responsible for keeping their communities bright, clean, tidy, and so on. So we need those kind of partnerships to be built. And I think an institution and structure that involves community councils, local government, what you want to call it, will help to build that. And then the council then will have a connection with the business to know that this business is helping the community. When central government needs to do so and so, they got to paint the estates. This government is, this institution is providing the community that the paint come from them. And so on. So those kind of enabling environment change and so on, those things will involve people directly. People will get feel that they own their communities.
Correct.
People don't come out now and sit down in the communities like before because they got TV, they got the games, the thing that is watched all day, TV all day. So then coming out and sitting down in the communities more. I remember back in the day, I used to got these things, street fairs, community fairs where once a month you come out with the fairs, and that's why I want to make this here. I can't have the political shot. That's why we gathering foolishness. Because if we gather, it was a gathering, they will have community fairs. If you're in St. Thomas, you should go at least 6 community fairs in St. Thomas. You pick one for Rock Hall. Well, I just call it one for Rock Hall, one for Black Hall, one for where the people from that community come out and bring out the things that make Rock Hall different. And they said this gathering is just rubbish. Community involvement activities will involve individual community showcasing their talent, their skills, and what they have achieved. And we will shift this gathering into community development and community activities. The other thing that last thing I want to say is that we got a lot of community centers that are inactive. Once a month or every 3 months, let the people in the community bring their produce to the community center or the higher courts. No cost. Have a fear. Bring, if you make sugar cakes, if you make hats, where we could bring them to the community center and the environs. Put it installed. No cost. Just bring them out. And you will see a difference in the people respect for each other. I can make shirts. You can make pants. You can do hats. Bring them out every 3 months. We're having Deacons Community Day. Bring out whatever you have to sell. You may got old fridge you want to get rid of. You may got old stove you want to get rid of. You may got something that you need to get rid of. We'll buy that one wheels. Bring it out. And let's get rid of it. You encourage people also to make things to bring out. Put a hand up on the top. I grew up and we never make tongue and bring cups. And I saw the Smith used to make our cups. So we get Milo. Milo, you ain't trying to make that cup. You get a hand up on it. But when I know they're talking about a new cup, or get plastic when involved with the environment, we never threw away anything in my day. Everything had a second purpose or third purpose. So I can't say we can't go back there because plastic cheap and everything has cost. What I'm saying is involve the community in meeting one another, getting involved, find things to get the communities to come together. To me, that's the key. And street them things out, bring out yourself and get rid of it. It's called not auction sales. It's called them some sort of sales. It's called them auctions. Flea market. Every 3 months, do a flea market at each community center. When you go to flea market, you gotta go and pay for it. But at community center, it's free.
Brighton has a big one every Saturday morning.
Right? That's a community. You know that's a community. You know what kind of community it is. Well, if you could carry Brighton every Saturday morning. With Deacons can't got one of Grosettes and buns, they can't got one too. You bring up you got some carrots. And bring them up there this Saturday morning. Come in. And you get them at a good price. Everybody happy.
like the point though that you made there about the community feeling a sense of pride.
Yeah.
So when you have like even the school, back to school coming out every year, you know, the schools get this refurbishment, etc. Like the people within the community, so people from Haynesville, from Husbands for Westers, should be painting Westers Primary School. Right.
Yeah.
I remember my sports club, Lowly Sports Club, we would have painted the facility there in the Pine by Meadow Road. The complex there, the park. The swing and the saw and everything and stuff like that. So and we were there mixing with the residents at the club within the community. So that's what I'm saying, that so the clubs should also do that as well and giving back to the schools and everyone then feel a part of a community.
I went to I should say these things that got people that got wrong impression of me. I went to lunch in the ground last week, Thursday or Wednesday, and our Scholars Association came down there to have a gathering. It wasn't a secondary school. It was St. Matthew's Primary School. A primary school having a reunion. You would have left the primary school at 11. And I found that was fantastic. Now, that's a community. No, I'm saying is, why can't, as my Aisha said, because we can have some deacons just now, or all the volleyballers come together and have, when we win again this year, because we can win the volleyball championship again this year, both men and women, and we can have a big celebration. Why communities can't do them things? Who were the past heroes? Who were the outstanding people in your community? Let's get 20 of them together and go on the one of the hard courts in the community and let people know what they doing out there. And them and the boys who played volleyball 40 years ago come into line. Those little things that we got to start. Because this government ain't about them things. This government about make sure and putting money in the friend's pocket. Because I used to so.
All right, gentlemen, we have come to the end of our show. Thank you for joining us tonight. We just want to acknowledge the passing of the former Bishop of Barbados, Bishop Drexel Gomez. On behalf of the Democratic Labour Party, just want to give our condolences to the family and friends of Bishop Gomez.
We did already.
No.
We did that last week. No?
Yeah, we did that.
Okay.
And we just want to announce we have a meeting, a spot meeting in Christchurch East on Sunday the 19th at 5:30 p.m. at Buffy's Bar, H. Barlow, Christchurch. We're going to see the candidate for the area, Miss Amoy Gildenborn, our political leader, Miss Felicia Dujon, myself as the candidate for Christchurch West Central, Mr. Corey Greenwich, the candidate for Christchurch South, and our MC for the night will be Mr. Damian Fanis.
Big one, big one.
So tonight we heard one clear message, that Barbados can only be rebuilt through its people. The Democratic Labour Party is committed to building Barbados one community at a time. Join us wherever you live in restoring the spirit of service, solidarity, and self-help that once made our nation the envy of the region. Thank you for joining us tonight. God bless and see you on Thursday.
We all in this with Ralphie, yeah. Yeah. We all in this with Ralphie. Yeah, yeah. He crossed the floor, not for fame or glory. He crossed the floor to rewrite the story. The people vex, the country tight. Ralphie step up to set things right. From Christchurch East to St. Lucie, everybody know he stand for we. He watch them laws, line by line. Yeah. He said follow the law, not the head lady. We all in this with Ralphie. We all in this with Ralphie. Yeah. We all in this with Ralphie. Yeah. One vision, one people, one destiny. We all in this with Ralphie. He crossed the floor to unite the country. So everybody sing in harmony. We all in this with Ralphie. Yes, we all in this with Ralphie. Hey, hey. to the house. How you getting this? Watching the chaos, parliament in a twist. One member while another talk too fast. Ralphie step in, makes sense last. The people laugh, they clap, they grin, cause Ralphie sharp, he know how to win. The law and logic, he keep them tight. He bring order to the parliament fight. Hey! R-A-L-P-H-I-E. Hey! We all in this with Ralphie. R-A-L-P-H-I-E. Stand up tall for unity. Hey! He tell the PM you head the cabinet, not the state. So respect the law before it's too late. The legal business done on the floor, not in your mind behind closed door. He cool, collected, full of class. He use the facts and bust up, she bubble fast. He shaving down falsehood, clean and neat. Ralphie drop logic on every seat. Tourism built it, bill, now this new move. Free movement by imagination to prove no legislation to pass immigration gate. Yet you telling visitors come, citizens wait. Ralphie say hold on, let's get it straight. Law before limelight, check the Monte. He watching close, the people clap, cause Ralphie catching every trap. We all in this with Ralphie. We all in this with Ralphie. We all in this with Ralphie. One vision, one people, one destiny. We all in this with Ralphie. He crossed the floor to unite the country. Now everybody sing in harmony. We all in this with Ralphie. Yes, we all in this with Ralphie. We all in this with Ralphie. Yes, we all in this with Ralphie. We all in this with Ralphie. Yes, we all in this with Ralphie. 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 When the bells start twist and spin, Ralphie stepping again. When imagination start run the stage, Ralphie pull it straight. Are you getting this? We all in this with Ralphie.